This is Infrared, and we're at Floyd Bennett Field so that you don't have to be. It's Tuesday, October 24th, and it's 2:22 p.m. and we are in southeast Brooklyn, and you see an old hangar in the background because Floyd Bennett Field was the first, I think the first commercial airfield and maybe the first airfield period within the 5 boroughs, within the city limits. It was opened, I think, in 1931 and served as an airport only until 1941 when Floyd Bennett was replaced by Fiorello LaGuardia, I think, which was then known, the airport though was then known as City Airfield Number 2 or something very descriptive like that. So, this was a naval air station at one time, and I believe it was the administration building and the actual airport building when this was an airport in those 10 years. But we're here today to check out what we've been reading about or seeing in various news sources as the latest development in housing migrants in the city. That they are erecting a tent city of sorts in Floyd Bennett Field, and the intent is to house families, and originally being like last week, it was, or I was reading that it was going to be for up to 300 migrant families. But this week, and it's only Tuesday of this week, I read it would be like 500, up to 500 families. And that it's going to be erected, or maybe that is what we see in the background on runway 19. Because remember, this was an airport, and the now it's part of the national park system, and more specifically part of Gateway National Recreation Area, which includes other parks along Jamaica Bay. So this is consistent with what I've been reading, and the one photo that I've seen of the migrant tent city, or the tent city for up to 500 migrant families being constructed. And how close can we get? Oh, also I should point out that there were reportedly protests on or near this site over the weekend, I think yesterday at 4 p.m. And I read this morning being October 24th, Tuesday, that the organizers from yesterday's protest are trying to organize round-the-clock coverage of this site, whatever that means. Now, look at this expanse of pavement around here. This is part of the former runway, one of the former runways. And for those of you who live within a short drive of here and have children who are learning to drive, this is a great place to learn either how to drive a car, because of, and perhaps that's what this person is doing, or this car is doing. Also a great place to learn how to ride a bicycle. Keep that in mind. Now there's something very colorful in the distance. We should check that out on our way out. Okay, so you can see also it looks like a former hangar in the distance, a kind of cream colored building. And to the right of those trees, which are to the right of that hangar, you may be able to see a bunch of white trucks. Those are all sanitation department trucks. This is here within Floyd Bennett Field, within the park, is the sanitation department's vehicle training facility. So sanitation workers have to be trained on many different types of vehicles, from the garbage collection trucks that you see every day to snow plows to front end loaders, dump trucks. So if you want to be a sanitation worker, you will be coming out here early in your career in basic training. And then somewhere, maybe it is that hangar in the background is the NYPD's aviation unit headquarters. So, and it is also where, and maybe that's the purpose of, or this police car we see in the distance. It's where NYPD trains its members to drive like they want police to drive. Now, what I read this morning was that either at yesterday's protest or some other public statement around the same time, elected officials, community members were saying the presence of these shelters is depriving the public the use of the park. depriving the public the use of the park. Depriving the people the use of the park. That car had U.S. government plates, which you would expect, right? This is part of the national park system, right? Oh, and there is, in fact, a sign across the runway there. New York City Sanitation Training Academy. Not facility, academy. So now I'm wondering if sanitation workers, when they are first hired, come here for more than vehicle training, whether they get all of their classroom training, which I believe is a few weeks before they're put out on the street, so to speak. Because the classroom training used to take place in central Queens. Well, almost as far as the eye can see, tents. Tents. In both spellings of the word. And this barrier line of Yodox provides a very welcoming message. Stay away. we can take a hint. So, let's focus on something less sensitive. Sanitation department vehicles. Oh look, NYPD vehicles as well. In fact, these are all NYPD vehicles. And I'm guessing that this, through the fence there, and I don't know what that structure is in the distance, that globe, that mounted globe structure, like used to intercept communications from outer space. Alien life forms. But given the number of different NYPD vehicles and the fact that this is a former runway and all the cones set up, I would say this is the NYPD driver training facility. Or is it academy? This also may be from what it looks like, because there are some Ford Explorers there, at least two that have lights mounted on the roof but don't have the NYPD decals yet. And we can see even in here that there is a mix of the NYPD logo and striping that's been in effect since Giuliani was mayor. And then in these Explorers that are closest to us, and their sides are partly obscured, but you can see the new NYPD logo. So gone on future vehicles will be the slogan, CPR. CPR. Civility. Passivity. Reactivity. there in the distance is the Verrazano. Again, the tents depriving the public of the use of this park. And there's the Marine Parkway Bridge, which connects Brooklyn to a portion of Queens, the Rockaway Peninsula. And if we were to board the Q35 bus just outside the visitor center going towards the bridge, it would take us to the Jacob Riis Beach, which isn't open this time of year for swimming, but it stops at the main bathhouse and then continues on to the nearest subway station, which is the end of the line of what is most of the time the S shuttle, the Rockaway Park shuttle at Beach 116th Street. If we take the Q35 northbound from just outside the visitor center, we will head, it will run with limited stops to a neighborhood in Brooklyn called the Junction, or actually a junction in Brooklyn called the Junction. It's the junction of Flatbush Avenue, Nostrand Avenue, Avenue H, and from there we can get the tour of the five. If I were going to get the train there, I would, all other things being equal, opt for the 5 because it will run express for the remainder of its run in Brooklyn once it exits Nostrand Avenue. Was this a bike path at one time? Right. I feel like I'm at Prairie Stop 41 in North by Northwest. Okay. Now, I think this is probably the landing path for flights landing at JFK. We'll know for sure if we see a jumbo jet. then let's check out this set of colorful structures here in the distance. And again, I've never seen this before in many visits, so I don't know when it was erected or what it is. It looks like it could be miniature golf, big miniature golf. And by the way, I don't know if we will show what's inside the visitor center in the interest of time, but there are restrooms in there. And you can see in the distance One World Trade Center on the left, and on the right is the Brooklyn Tower. Brooklyn's only taller than 1,000-foot tower. And we can see Hudson Yards. Hopefully. I see it. Okay, so some kind of land of make-believe with signs that say keep off. So we'll have to search and see what this is. Okay, so yeah, this is the kind of jumbo jet I said would tell us whether this is the approach for JFK or some other airport, LaGuardia. But that's an A380, the Airbus model. It's a Lufthansa flight that is like double-decker, almost from end to end. Okay, so with Flatbush Avenue, or it might be Marine Parkway at this point, but with that traffic in the near distance, can it be near and in the distance at the same time? And with the Ryan Visitor Center there, and the Disruptive Immigrant Center there, Migrant Center, sorry, Visitor Center, Migrant Center to Visitor Center, and then we will exit and walk the path to the Q35 bus stop and get ourselves to a more populated area of Brooklyn. Coming in on runway 19. This is infrared. This is what you've been watching.